Everybody to Panfish Nation along with Mark. I'm Lyle, and Mark, we got a great guest tonight. Ted Ellenbecker is going to be with us. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. And right now, I would like to say before we get started, your brother Chad's in trouble.
I saw it coming.
Yeah, he's in trouble.
I
He
saw
will
it coming.
he will live his life eternally on the bottom. You and he know what that means.
We
The
know
rest
what
of
that
you
means.
can figure it out. But yeah,
I,
it
I
was.
got it. I got it covered for you, Lyle. Don't worry. I'll take
I
care of it.
understand. It was great to see him with Betty and Brandon and Dee all down visiting with my old buddy Doc Lang. I mean, that was awesome to see Doc. It looks like everything's going good down there for them. But what do you say we announce some of the people that's in chat tonight, Mark?
I would love to do that. I want to say hello to Ted. How are you? How you doing? I'm going to say hello to everybody out here in chat. It looks like we got 22 people in chat. I want to make sure I don't forget because I know they're watching. They might not be in chat yet, but I want to say happy birthday to Dee again. I want to say hello to my sister Betty. I want to say hello to Brian B. Catfishing in the house. Brian B. is going out to be the the king of the Potomac River this week up against Has Life. My money's on Brian B. Catfishing, by the way. We got Catfish Fever and Outdoors. What's going on, Lynn? Thanks for coming in. Good to see you, my friend. Miss Cindy Stokes, the one that takes care of Lyle. Make sure that he's fed and clothed, or else he'd come on screen a lot skinnier and probably not as clothed as he is today. Crappie Day Fish on. What's going on, buddy? Creole Catfishing. Who will be fishing against Lyle Stokes this Sunday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time? We're looking forward to that. That'll be on my channel, Catfish and Crappie, like you all don't know that. We got Dale Hayslip. What's going on, Dale? Dan Thompson. What's up, buddy? How you doing, Dan? We have Ernie Brown, Fins and Finds, Fishing with Squirrel. Fishing with the Chad, who is in trouble, Chad. I know all about it. You're in real trouble. Jeremy Colvin Fishing. Check out his channel. He's got some videos up recently. I think he's putting some of the old videos from his other channel up. Go over there, support him. Get your subscriptions back since YouTube did the business on him. JP3 Outdoors, what's up, my friend? Hopefully they're not working you all too hard. If I'm not mistaken, you might not be working that hard in the near future. We'll talk later, bud. Keith, Smart Keith, I'm so glad you're feeling better. Good to see you back in the chats. Mike Irvin, what's going on, Mike? Muskrat Adventures, how you doing, Roger? We have Papa Ed's in the house. What's up, Papa? Philip Williams, setting hooks and crossing eyes. Hey, Ryan, I got your message in at the bait shop. I'll contact him, see what I can do. Otherwise, just have him send it to you. I got a whole pile of them. We'll have plenty of jigs to crappie fish with, buddy. I see Super Dave 365. Philip Williams, in case I forgot him. The Bullock Experience. What's up, Kelly? Josh over at the Weekend Angler. How you doing, Josh? And we have Uncle Lou, who was on Catfish Weekly last week. Of Uncle Lou's Bait and Tackle. What's going on, Lee? How you doing? I see a Chester Wyatt in the house. Scrolling through the list again. Hopefully I don't miss anybody, but I've been known to do that. We have Freddie's Outdoor Adventures. What's going on, Freddie? How you doing, bud? Kim Burnett. What's up, Kim? How you doing? Check out Kim's page on Facebook and Instagram. He's got all sorts of cool jigs out there that he ties. Watch him do it live as well. I think I got everybody, Lyle. That was a mouthful. They're stacking in still.
Did you get Air Run?
Air Run, what's up, my friend? No, I didn't. I apologize for that, buddy. Must have snuck in under the radar.
He probably got in when you had your eyes shut.
Yeah, he snuck in when Betty just snuck in, too. I seen she snuck in there. Well, I said hello to you, Betty, if you didn't hear it earlier. And happy birthday to D2.
Setting hooks and crossing eyes, fishing with the squirrel. I think you got about all of them.
I try.
It's just the
that's why he keeps me around. I'm good at announcing the people's names. I keep up with everybody.
That's right. That's right. Ted, what have you been up to, buddy?
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Wonderful, man. How you doing? And what have you been up to lately?
Oh, boy. All kinds of good stuff.
Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, I will. First, I want to tell you, I appreciate you guys having me on tonight. I appreciate it. It's always nice to be around you. You guys do a great job, and you promote the sport really well. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm honored to hear that.
All right. Well, Saturday, I was at a youth event up here put on by Wild Dakota Television. And I want to talk about this just a little bit. because I was absolutely impressed with the way they handled this. And if there's anybody out there that ever wants to put on a youth program, I'm just going to throw out a couple things they did. You should think about this. We had between 300 and 400 youth on this event from 10 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock. And what impressed me was the variety. It was like an outdoor event. It wasn't just a fishing event. They had a skeet shoot. They had a BB gun shoot. They had a 22 range. They had a boat, an archery, outfit. They had a bow fisherman. They had a motocross guy that did some jumps. A couple fishermen. They had a slew of sponsors. And what I thought was really neat, because of the variety of people and the difference in the kids, they had what they called a bingo card. And maybe I'm old-fashioned or whatever, but I've never seen this. They called it a bingo card, and everybody that was there as a speaker or a booth had a little square on this bingo card. And the kids had to get a signature from every booth on this bingo card to win a door prize. Now, don't get me wrong, all the kids got something. I was handing out a little starter fishing kit from the Game Fish and Parks Department, and, so everybody got something. But they had some matted prints. They had some really big stuff. So the kids had to go to every booth. Now they didn't have to shoot a gun if they didn't want to. They didn't have to do the casting if they didn't want to. But they had to at least talk to the people there, So they got a big variety of ideas and information. And then we signed their little card. At the end, they had to turn that card in, and then they were eligible for the big prizes. And I thought that was very cool, and the variety of people that kind of fit everybody, And anyway, so I just wanted to mention that because I was just really impressed. The kids came in and out of there. It was a continual flow for 5 hours.
That's very cool. First thing that came to mind is, what if I went in there and I identified as a kid? Could I go through and do all that stuff?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
good.
absolutely. Yeah.
I was going to say, that sounded like fun to me. I'd have been all over that. I'd be pushing kids out of the way. And
I had a 10-minute seminar, literally 10 minutes, because that's the attention span, right? And half the time the moms and dads were going, Shh, what? They were here and they were in on it. Yeah, no, the parents were involved too, so it was a good thing.
It sounds like a wonderful event.
Yeah. And then if anybody is in eastern South Dakota on November 13th, I do have a full-length live seminar with Game Fish and Parks at the outdoor campus, and that will be on locating fish. And this is going to be kind of unique because they're going to film it, and then they're going to supply it or provide it to the outdoor campus in Pier and the outdoor campus in Rapid City, and archive it so people can access it later that can't show up. And we're limited to 70 on the seating on that. So, we'll see how it fills up. But that's it. So that's my events for now. But
that's awesome.
Sounds like events I would like to attend. Those, I know I've heard you speak on numerous occasions, Ted, and I got to say that anybody who's able to catch you, whether it's online or even better live, don't miss it. It's definitely something you want to take part in.
It is.
Well, thank you. I try to deliver.
One of the great things that Ted has out going for him is a video that you can get. It's called Any Fish, Any Water, and this has probably some of the absolute best content about fishing for nearly any kind of fish that swims in any kind of water that you'd ever try to fish in and know how to catch them. It's just awesome. If you ever get a chance to check that out, please do. You will not be disappointed.
Well, thank you for the plug, Lyle. I appreciate it. I'm going to add a little bit to that, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that was a really good foundation video, and it is, and the information is really good, and it's been accepted. Iowa now has that video on their educational programs in the state of South Dakota, and so it's getting some play and used like I want it to be. But this year, Well, with the virus and everything, things kind of slowed up, but we've still been fishing it and working with it. And we came up with something else we're going to add to it this summer, and we're calling it expanding the fringe. And for this show, it kind of really fits because it really applies to like yellow perch, crappie, and walleye, and it fits right in with the theory of three, which is the video basically, and combining elements. And it seems like common sense, but we never really realized how important it was to expand past the connection point of the two elements. I always push in the video where the elements connect, like where the drop off connects to the rock pile, where. But once you hook a fish on that, like with the yellow perch on a mud bottom under ice, at least in South Dakota, you get the bloodworms coming up in the winter. And if you hook up on that mud line, you want to move over, so that's expanding off of the connection point, onto that fringe. And we've never really played that into this video very much. So on the trip we have coming up, we're going to be filming muskie, northern pike, walleye, crappie, and yellow perch, and hopefully smallmouth bass. And we're adding the fringe aspect on all of those videos. Those are going to be species specific. And we're up there for 2 weeks in northern Minnesota. Got the cabins rented, we got boats going, and fish should be biting September 12th to the 22nd, So everybody, they should be hitting really hot.
Yeah, that's a good time of year up there.
Yeah, should be great.
Yeah. And that kind of brings me to a little, would you like to talk fall crappies a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we're going to be fishing crappies up there. And this time of year, the guys that fish crappies are going to understand this really, really quickly. This is kind of a transition period right now. The water is just starting to cool a little bit. And during the summer, a lot of the crappies are they're forming around the weed beds and they're hugging minnows and everything else in there. But right now, a lot of the weeds, at least up here, are starting to die. The bottoms are turning brown. Water's starting to cool off. So when we get there on the 12th, we're probably going to have a little bit of a problem on really finding the fish, because they're going to be stuck between like the dock situation and the weed line situation. And then the first point out from the mouth of the bay where it starts dropping into deeper water and a rock formation, and then the deep basin, and we're going to probably find fish on all of those areas.
They'll be scattered, I'm thinking.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to find, it could even depend on the day on this trip. We could have some fish up shallow on the docks. If we can find some live weeds, weed line might be good. What I think is going to happen here, though, we're going to be right in the middle of it. And I think if you can find, like, we'll say the bay with the weeds, and the weeds are starting to die off, if you move out to the mouth of the bay, if you can find one with a rock point coming off the front of it, I think we're going to find them off the drop of that rock point, I think. But okay. What do you think, Mark?
I'm thinking once, okay, just so people in chat know, you're up in South Dakota. You're going to be up in Minnesota.
Northern Minnesota, right?
Yeah, late September is probably comparable to everybody else's October down here. Just to give people an idea of the time of conditions, not necessarily the time of year, but the time of conditions for the year. When those weeds start dying off, would you agree that they start gassing off and they start chasing fish out of them? Pretty much, they don't want the carbon dioxide. They're going to be looking for, like you said, rocky points. They're getting ready. They're still feeding on their normal forage, but they're getting ready to hit the basins in the colder seasons. They're going to start looking for those little red worms or whatever they're called at that time of year. You're absolutely right. That's what I've learned the hard way. I wish I'd have found your stuff a long time ago. It would have saved me a lot of heartache, Ted. I'm not going to kid you. But once that, like you said, that turning happens, they're going to move. They're going to get spread out, and you just gotta hammer them. I know that Betty in chat here, she does a lot of long line trolling, and I think that's a good way of locating fish. If you're looking for big fish, they're going to be solo. They're going to be on their own. You're going to have to fish the bottom. You're not going to find them suspended as much, and just kind of stick to your guns. Is what my plan is that time of year.
Yeah, I think well, up here now, this is where, crappie fishing, there's a lot of different presentations. Like in northern Minnesota, as an example, we can only use one rod, one hook. Okay.
Yep.
Whereas a lot of crappie fishermen, they're putting, the hair jigs out in the fan pattern, and, we can't do that. So what I think is going to happen, normally in the midsummer, I'll drift a slip bobber with a minnow about 3 feet under it, drift over the open water, and we'll just find them, and there they are. But in this point, I think we're going to be vertical jigging with some lead head jigs tipped with minnows and small plastics. And for guys that are doing this, I think they want to remember, if you're fishing walleyes, you want the jig bouncing off the bottom, essentially, most of the time. With the crappie, you're going to want to lift it up off the bottom about 3 feet. If your electronics are good, you want to keep the jig right up above them, And if you can find a school of minnows over the top of them, you want to put your jig right between the school of minnows and the crappie.
Yeah. Make them hit your jig before they can get to the minnows. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Definitely. Oh, yeah. So I think it's going to be good.
Speaking of electronics, have you had any exposure to a live scope lately, or as of yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I highly recommend you get out with somebody who has it. It'll open your eyes a lot. Yeah. Trust me. It makes you double think a lot of things that, not that I know it did for me. Like that they only feed up. No, they don't only feed up. Will they only eat minnows? No, they'll eat plastic before a minnow.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff. So I highly recommend you get somebody who has one in their boat and get out there. It's nothing but an awesome tool, so to speak. Right, Lyle?
Yes.
Lyle, I'm getting a little mic noise from you, bud, just so you know.
How about now?
I think it quit. I'm sorry, Ted. What did you say?
Oh, I was just asking Lyle what he thought about this with crappies.
I haven't fished a lot for crappie in the last several years. I spent my time chasing bluegills, but crappie are so structure oriented that the hardest part for me was finding the depth they was in.
Yep.
Again, with this new live scope and all the new electronics is coming out, I think that would be a moot point because they're going to tell you exactly where they're at. The problem with them are not everybody can afford them.
Absolutely.
And I'm tired of learning new stuff every other year, so I may be a little bullish on that.
Yeah. Well, I like I say, where we're going now, I think we're going to find them, but I think, we got like 3 different choices where to pick from, and I think to start with, we may find them in all 3 places.
I bet you do.
You probably will find them scattered out there.
That sounds like a fun trip.
I think we're going to find them off the points, and I think we're going to find the walleyes right with them, frankly, right now, this time of year. I think they're going to be sitting right with them. So we'll see.
That would be great. That would be great.
Yep. It's going to be a good trip. We're going to be fishing muskie, and we're going to be fishing northerns and smallies and crappie and some perch. And I had a guy tell me that there's some green-eared sunfish up there that actually go up to 3/4 pounds. I've never seen one that big.
I'd be all over that.
I want to try to find a couple.
I have to ask you, Mark has been telling me for some time that the yellow perch up there are as good to eat as crappie. Is that true?
Oh, you cut out a little bit loud.
I say Mark has told me that the yellow perch up in the northern states are as good to eat as crappie. Is that a fact?
It is. They're very good. Yep.
That's unbelievable. I thought nothing could be as good as crappie.
No, I call crappie fish chips. I love them. They're really good. But
absolutely,
perch are really good eating. Walleyes. Everybody says walleyes. Frankly, they don't quite have enough taste for me.
No, I agree. They're just bland. Compared to crappie, they're just bland.
I keep telling Lyle that crappies are fish chips and that perch are fish sticks. They pretty much relate that way.
I can dig them
Same,
both,
just a little
man.
different. That's what I call them. And I do love walleye. I love eating walleye, but they're probably number 3 in my book. Burbot's up there too, but I just started fishing for them last year. I'll be chasing them again. Hopefully this December. I'm hoping.
The best fish I ate this year was a channel cat. So far, I cleaned a channel cat that Jory caught, and for her, she wanted a supper. And I'll tell you what, we treated it a little different. We cleaned the fish, and then we brought a pot of water to a boil, and we blanched that. We cut them into like half egg size chunks, and we put it in the boiling water for like 15 seconds. Just poof. And then strained it off. It took all the oil out of that meat. That channel cat flaked up, just like a walleye or a crappie would flake up.
Wow!
Incredible.
Did it get rid of the yellow fat on the fish?
Well, the fish wasn't really fat, but I had a guy, from Black's Camp down in South Carolina, tell me they do that with blue cats, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to try this. And you could tell the difference. It took the oil, the fat right out of that meat.
I can't wait to try that.
I'll try it.
And it just poured right off. And, don't forget the tartar sauce. You got to have that.
Oh, absolutely. I make this tartar sauce with some Korean kimchi sauce in there, nice and spicy. That'll open your eyes if you're into that sort of thing. But I kind of do the same thing with my cat. Actually, Stu Miller from Total Angling Experience, he swears that catfish tastes better than crappie to him. But me and him have had that conversation on more than one occasion. But he does the same thing I do, which is you just got to rinse those fillets, because that blood and that fat, that yellow meat that you see on there is water soluble. If you run enough water through it, it'll dissolve it. So maybe by putting it in that blanch, it's doing the same thing, only faster. So I'm going to give that a shot.
Probably.
Yeah,
It just loosens it up, melts it, just like bacon grease in a pan, I suppose.
That's perfect.
Yeah, but you don't want to cook it. I mean, you don't want to leave it in there and boil it till it's done. You just splash it, give it 15 seconds, pour it off.
Sounds good. We'll try it.
Roll it up and fry it. God, it was really incredible. It was.
That sounds wonderful to me, because I would, for years, I only fished for catfish. I didn't fish for bluegill or crappie or nothing else, and I like to eat small blues and channel cats, but the best is flatheads. But I just come to the point where it's really hard for me to kill a flathead anymore. It's not that I don't like eating them, because I do, but I'm really, really hard pressed to put one out now. After you catch a really big one, that little one has that chance to be in that big one. But if I was going to eat one, it would be a small fish of any of the 3. But I love catfish to eat. I really do. But that blanching them, I think that is going to be a game changer. I can't wait to try it.
I had never tried it before, and just talking to Kevin down there, and he said, "Do this," and it was a game changer. It completely changed that fish.
Wow!
And it was great. It was incredible.
That's amazing. I'm going to do that. Maybe if I get 1 or 2 tomorrow, we might keep a couple of them and try that. I have a 2-burner stove that sets up on legs, and you can put a griddle on it and all kinds of stuff. I bought it 5 or 6 years, maybe 10 years ago. It's never been out of the box, but that would be perfect to set that up with 1 burner with the hot water in it, boiling water, and then while you're waiting for your grease to warm up on the other one to fry the fish in. So
one side's for fries, one side's for fish, Lyle. You know the rules.
Oh yeah, I do know that.
we kind of got into talking catfish here a little bit. You got? Can I make an announcement about the flathead regulations?
You can.
You absolutely can.
Okay. This has been going on now for about 2 years with Iowa on the boundary waters of Nebraska and South Dakota. And I just want to let people know, because it slowed up. diplomacy, whatever, takes time. But I talked to Chris Larson down in Iowa, and it is going to play out. Excuse me. They are writing the new regulations. They will be the 1/30 for the flatheads on the entire Missouri River. And also then we'll go in ahead and install that on the Sioux River in South Dakota, which is the boundary water of Iowa. And what's going to happen with that, you guys, if that goes through, this will be the largest single regulation fishery in the United States. This regulation will cover the Missouri River from the North Dakota border to Missouri, the entire state of Nebraska, the entire state of South Dakota. Minnesota's already 1/24, and it'll be the boundary waters on the western side of Iowa. That's a big swath of water.
Yes, it is. And what I'm looking forward to is if they get that put into effect and everything passes, that it will force Illinois and Missouri to do the same thing.
Well, it'll set an example for everybody. We have a slot rule for flathead here on the Fox River, which is nowhere. It's like a creek on one of those waterways. But it's had such a positive effect on the flathead fishery here. I hope that when it's implemented on such a big waterway, that it'll spread to the rest of them. That would be awesome to see.
Well, you have all the tributaries that come in and out of that Missouri River, and I think the biggest effect that it's going to have is, well, the regulation itself will make a difference, I believe. But also, I think the impact that it has on the people that fish it, the walleyes up here as an example, it's kind of like your peer group. Up here in South Dakota and in Minnesota now, I mean, boy, to even think of killing a 30-inch walleye.
No.
Wow. Maybe one in your life if you want him on the wall, but that's it. And it just turns into kind of a peer group if you let the people know the value of the fishery. And, with the walleye thing in South Dakota, we have seen an improvement in the fishery since they've started doing this. We had a cabin on Lake Madison when I was young, and the biggest walleye we ever caught there, like in 25 years, was maybe 5 pounds. And since these regulations have come into play in the last, 20 years, 15, 20 years, you can go up to Madison now and catching 4 or 5 pounders is just common. So right there, that's just, and the fishing pressure is 3 times more than what it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
But they're letting those 5 pounders go, and now you can go up, you can catch them. And when I was young, you could keep fish and eat them, and how many, I think the limit was like 8 a day and whatever. And, if you caught a 3-pound walleye, that was a good sized walleye back then,
The other thing is, not only is the fishing pressure greater, the equipment that we have to catch fish with is way, way better than it was when we was kids.
Oh, well, just like you're talking electronics. Yeah.
Yep.
You can go out with a boat right now, and you don't have to, the boat will show you where the fish are.
Side imaging was really feared when it came out, especially I know
it's a game changer
from a lot of the walleye guys out here, because you can spot those pods of walleyes on that side imaging alone. You don't even need anything like a live scope or something to do that, but you still, like they say, they still got to catch the fish, and in combination with people being more harvesting more responsibly and putting the smart regulations that don't hurt the tourist industry or the sport in itself. I think we can all find that happy medium and continue to have that resource available for many generations to come. So at least that's the way I feel about it.
Mark, you just brought up a really important point. I'm going to second it, and that's putting in the regulations that don't harm the fishery, because you can go too far to the extreme, like in the catfish. We've seen a lot of guys, and I'm not taking sides, I'm just delivering information here, but we've seen guys where shouldn't keep anything, release everything. Right. Well, maybe on somebody's water that's necessary, but what happens then? Other people have licenses too, and and some people like to eat a fish once in a while. I do.
I do too.
Okay,
And believe it or not, some people still, they like to add that to their freezer because they need to.
yep,
They
exactly.
really do.
And if you stop, like in South Dakota, well, anywhere, if you stop where, okay, you can't harvest any flatheads. I mean, I do protect flatheads, you guys know that, but I'm against the no harvest because right off the bat, you just cut out the tournament anglers. You just cut them out. You can't put them in, if you can't keep them, you can't put them in a live well. You can't bring them in, you can't bring them into weigh.
True.
So now, you see, you just killed the flathead thing for the tournament. You just hurt the tournament guys. And when you're establishing regulations, you got to be careful. Like you said, Mark, you need to balance the regulation, try to improve the fishery, but don't hurt anybody that's involved with it at the same time. And that's a balancing act. And that's why, like this thing with Iowa has taken a while. They're considering it. It's going to go, I believe, and I've been told it's probably going to go. But, they got the information from the anglers. They took the boats. You know what I mean? Like they should have. And they're going to alter their blue cat and their channel cat and the flathead to match Nebraska and South Dakota, which is huge because they're pretty much free game right now, on what you can do to cats in western Iowa. And they're going to do it. They're going to take it down to one blue cat, and like 5 channels instead of 15, and one flat over 30, and just they're going to set it up. They're serious.
Awesome.
Up in Minnesota, they even have on certain bodies of waters, they have panfish limits, don't they? And it's a successful program, from my understanding, isn't it?
Oh yeah. The Minnesota River. I think all the cats in Minnesota are 1 over 24 inches.
I'm talking about just like bluegills in general. Isn't that what Brian B? We had I forgot his name, right? Lyle. We had Brian from up there, the ice fishing guy.
Yeah.
Brian,
Wisconsin fisherman.
Brian Brosdale.
Bro.
Yeah, he was telling us about panfish limits up there and a lot of the what are they called, pothole lakes up there that have really made a big difference. I mean, it's like a prime example of how, and that's proof of concept with a smaller fish that I keep talking about with panfish, where you can check your tactics a lot faster than you can when you're fishing for a 30-pound flathead. Not that you would use the same, but you kind of learn that same problem solving technique through that whole process. And that's exactly what the scientists and the biologists do by testing them on certain waterways. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely right.
We do have a question from SK's Crappie Catching Adventures. He says, what classifies a good crappie in y'all's area? What would you consider a good crappie, Ted, in your area, your neck of the woods?
10 inches. Be a
10
good
inches?
crappie. Yeah, 10
That would
inches.
be a good that would be a keeper?
That would be a good crappie. Well, a keeper, if you're looking to fry dinner, probably 8 inches, maybe. But I'd say 10 inches. You get up over, 13, 14 inches, then you got a really nice crappie,
Yeah, it depends on the body of water up here. 10 inches is a good fish for this far north.
Yeah.
I know down south where he fishes, they get a little bigger, and in Missouri they get a heck of a lot bigger, don't they, Lyle?
Yeah, you could. If Eric's still in here, he would know more about that than I do. But a 14-inch crappie here is a great fish, and if you get a 15 or a 16, that's a trophy.
Yep. Yeah. They go on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
But for me, 10-12s are great eating fish.
Yep, exactly. 10 inches up here, that's a nice bunch of crappies. You get into 10 inches like that.
I like them ones that are blue on the sides and around the lips and weigh about 3/4 to a pound when I can catch them. But most of them get returned, and I keep their smaller brethren.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, and I'm going to try something different, you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and I'm hoping I get this on film up there. Back to the vacation a little bit. I'm just jumping around here a little bit, but when I lived in the Black Hills, I used to fly fish trout on the creeks and on the lakes, and a lot of fun. But you're dealing with 8, 10, 12-inch fish, and like a 4-weight fly rod, and little nymphs, but it's fun. But anyway, we're
Absolutely.
going up here and we're going to do muskies and northerns on fly rods also.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I've been getting my muskie flies, and they're like 8-10 inch streamer flies. And
The streamers, yeah, that looks like fun. I watch a gentleman on that Hook Shots. He was on there, part of the Field and Streams channel, and now he's a part of the Meat Eater family. That Joe Sorelli, he's big on fly fishing for anything from pickerel to pike to muskie, and it looks like a blast. Looks like a lot of fun. Yeah. Looks like a lot of work, Ted.
I think I'm gonna lose some flies probably, but
but then you just tie some more. We know where you can get some fly tying equipment, don't we, Lyle?
We do.
Supplies.
Okay, maybe I have to find somebody.
We tie crappie jigs here every now and then on Saturday nights. We'll hang out, like 3 or 4 of us. We had Mr. Kim Burnett on here a couple of weeks back, and we're all kind of getting into it. Lyle's kind of sucked us into his hobby, and now our wives are all cussing him for spending all our family fortunes. So
I wonder if Kim and Eric have ever tied any of them big streamers like that. I think Kim's still in here. I don't know if Eric is at work or not, but I've never tied any of them big streamers, but I'd be willing to give it a try. I bet Kim's tied some of them up.
it's pretty cool stuff out there. Kim has me talked into buying a fly rod for panfish and stuff.
Right.
I just need to get that order placed and get it on there. I figure I'd hit it. I'm kind of going to ask the wife for Christmas, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, there you go. Christmas. I think bluegills in the big green ears would be just a gas on a really light fly rod. You know?
They absolutely would. I'm northwest of Chicago. I actually live really close to where Brian B. of the Googans kind of started. His parents still live up here by me, and the reason why he did so well is because our ponds are so filled with everything from bass to all different size, panfish up here. So, I mean, it'd be a good place. And since they're newer subdivision ponds and stuff, there isn't that many trees, so there's plenty of room for me to get those casting skills down with a fly rod. So,
yep, we'll practice in the backyard before you go.
That's right.
So, what's new with you guys? You got trips planned?
Yeah, I'm in a catfishing tournament this weekend against a guy from the state of Louisiana. He had the hurricane went through down there, so we had to postpone our date till this weekend. So we're going to be doing that, and we've actually got a panfish tournament coming up that I think is going to be a pretty big entry. And if he gets all the entries in it that we think, you'll have to be drawn out by just to get in it. So we're all looking forward to that.
Well,
absolutely.
You last year. Let's see. I was on Catfish Weekly, and you guys were talking about a channel cat trip.
Oh, Ted!
How did that end up?
It was awesome.
Was it?
It was awesome.
Are you seeing my face, Ted? This is what I looked like the whole way when I was there. We were having a lot of time up there in Mendota. We had a blast up there. We're definitely going to go back.
We caught a bunch of 20 to 30 pound fish every day.
Really?
I've never seen catfish do so many tail stands before in my life, Ted. It was really, really fun to catch them. I got a 17-pounder on an ice fishing rod. That was a good time.
That's a good time.
Yeah. It was. We'll be going back up there again this year coming up, Ted. You ought to try to meet us over there.
God, I might. I love chasing channels. I really do. They're a good fish. They're fun.
Well, these aren't exactly your average everyday channel cat.
Those are
27, 30 pounds.
We got a 21 in the group, got a 29 plus pounder. That 30, a 30-inch walleye and a 30-pound. 30 seems to be the magic number for some reason in fishing. A 30-inch walleye, 30-pound channel cat, right? Yeah. A 30-pound king salmon. It just seems to be that magic number. I don't know what it is, except for maybe smallmouth. Smallmouth, what are we talking about? 20-incher? That's the magic number for a smallmouth?
22.
You're a better man than me. I can't get over like 16.
I'm trying to get them to let me use those for bait in Missouri.
Yeah. Mendota, that's a shallow body of water, isn't it?
No, it is not.
Mendota is not, but Cherokee is.
Cherokee is the adjoining lake. That's the Madison chain up there.
Yeah, they go right one into the other. They go into Cherokee to spawn, and that's the time we're up there is right before spawn. And they're migrating up into that shallow water, and It was really, really shallow this year because we had trouble getting around in it because of the many weeds that are in there. But yeah, if you like to catch channel cat, that is. I fished Red River. I've never been to Lockport, but I fished it on the Missouri on the United States side uh, pretty hard.
Yep.
And I never caught fish like I do in that lake. Never.
It was a good time. People were catching walleye, bass. Walleye, bass. People were catching northern pike over there. I think Parker got what, like a 30-inch 32-inch northern pike, something like that, if I'm mistaken. They're nowhere near as nasty as a blue cat as far as the slime coat goes. Okay.
I can't.
It's still fun to catch, and there's a lot of big perch in Mendota. Hopefully, I might be able to get out there this winter. Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah,
and go do a little perch fishing out there.
You know, Jory, I think channels are one of her favorite fish. I may run her down there someday and take her.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, in May, like I say, right before they load up the spawn, just stay in touch, and I will let you know when we're headed up there. It'd be awesome if you and Jory could make it over there. That'd be great, because regardless of the fishing or the conditions, we're going to have a good time.
Well, there you go.
We're going to have a great time.
Yeah. That's what a fishing trip's supposed to be, isn't it? Just a good time.
We had some of the best eats. The ladies and some of the guys got together and fixed up a big old meal out in behind the parking lot in the grass where we was parking our boat trailers up there. And I didn't think I would ever stop eating. I mean, it just was awesome. We had everything under the sun, and it was all good.
Running cut bait mostly on that?
Yeah, it was all cut bait.
All cut bait.
All cut bait that time.
Yeah, good enough.
I'd like to moment of silence for all the bluegills that gave their life for a heck of a weekend.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you, James Dockery, for
that. I am heading up to Genoa, Wisconsin to fish the Mississippi River. A friend of mine rented a house up there, and we're going to try and get on some walleye and some perch while we're up there and see if there's any flathead left to be caught. So I'm looking forward to that.
Good.
I want to try my hand at those yellow perch one of these days.
Well, South Dakota's got a lot of them.
They do.
That's a beautiful place up there. I always thought if I ever went up there that I would probably go pheasant hunting, but as it stands right now, if I go up there now, it would probably be perch and channel cat.
You know, if the water stays up, we got a ton of rain here, and the rivers are coming back up. If the water is good next year, you guys should come up and I'll take you log jamming. We'll do some flatheads.
All right.
I'm into that. Yeah, I'm into
Sign me up. You'll only have to bring one pole. That's the only thing. What are you guys using for baits?
South Dakota, we can have two.
Minnesota, you can have two. Okay. There you go.
Yep. And I got the boat. You don't need to bring anything if you don't want. We'll just go do some log jamming. We'll run the Jim River and catch some flatheads during the middle of the day.
That sounds fun. That sounds like fun, doesn't it, Lyle?
It does to me.
You know, our whole gang is down in Alabama fishing. Maybe they can sit around and host shows while we're up fishing flathead up north while they're at home doing this stuff. What do you think?
That's a pretty good idea right there.
Ryan says he wants to come with us, setting hooks and crossing eyes. He's like, I'll be there.
Yeah, I think get some takers for that. That'd be good. It sounds like a wonderful time to me because I'm hoping things change for me a little bit because I really haven't targeted flatheads for a long time because we were so heavily into tournament fishing, and I'm just about to the age where I don't care as much about that as I used to. So
yeah,
I mean, I still want to do these things like Chad's doing and Mark's doing because they're fun, but you know, we put a lot of miles on for a lot of years, and a deal like just targeting flatheads, to me, that right now that sounds a lot more interesting. So yeah, that would be something that I would be really interested in. This, like that trip to Mendota, I couldn't wait for winter to get over and spring to get here so we could get up there.
Yeah, that's a spring trip, isn't it, Mendota?
Yep, May.
Yep.
I think it was the third week of May, I believe. But It was, and up there I have a friend Jerry and a bunch of his friends that go up there every year. We all got together and had a big dinner one night up there. I think it was Thursday night, wasn't it, Mark?
Yes, it was. We had a blast when we were there. I think this year what we're going to do is we're going to get the campsite next to them, and we're going to set up a bunch of tents and try to bring some of our own hospitality.
Yeah, just set up, just rent a spot beside their spot.
Sure.
Just so we got plenty of room and don't infringe on anybody else because there was a lot of us up there. But man, we had a great time.
We had a good time. There's a lot of people. I met some of the best people in the world fishing, Lyle. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, it is. And it goes both ways. There's some in the fishing industry that's not so good, but for the most part, everybody is really great. And
well, that's like anything, isn't it?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, for the most part, people are good.
Yep. And a guy that's catching fish, he's usually the happiest guy you're going to be around that
day.
Yep. My wife will call me before I go home from fishing. She'll ask me, so did you catch any fish? And if I say no, she has to brace herself for when I get home. So it's no lie either. I get pretty crabby. So tell us a little bit about some of the fish that you've caught, and is there any fish out there that you still want to catch that you haven't, Ted?
Boy, well, my biggest flathead on the Sioux River is 52. My biggest flathead on the Jim River is like 48, which for up here, those are big flats.
Oh, yeah.
My biggest channel is 28 in South Dakota.
That's a good one.
Yep. Biggest northern is 18 in South Dakota. I think, actually, I want the state record channel cat, to be honest with you.
And what do you know what that state record is?
Yeah, it's 30 pounds, some odd ounces right now.
It's doable.
That was just broke. I don't know if you guys remember, a year ago we had they had a blue cat listed in South Dakota as a state record channel.
I heard about that.
Yeah, well, we got that nixed. It's like, okay, count the anal rays. I mean, look at this fish. I mean, really, take a look at this. This is a blue cat. Anyway, so they did that, and it is, they decided it's a blue. They took it out. They opened it up wide open, 0. And it took about, I don't know, 3-4 months, and we had a 30-pounder on. So
30 pounds is a good fish. They get bigger than that, but few and far between.
Yeah, but it's that 30-pound thing you were talking about.
It is that 30-pound thing. I think it's got to be genetics to get them any bigger than that. I think 30 pounds is kind of the ceiling for the species, from my understanding. But that doesn't mean they won't get bigger. That's where world records come from.
That's right.
Yep. Oh, no, they can for sure. It just, the fish we took off the books was just so obvious that, and I don't, when the guy that caught it, he has the state record for blue cats and legitimate fish. He caught them both same spot, one night, one the next night. And, that was what, 50, 60 years ago, and, the big one's a blue, the small one's a channel. Well, not really, but, that's kind of the way it went down.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask some self-serving questions here. Let's talk about walleye. Fall's coming. Fall's prime time for walleye. Where do we want to start looking for walleye on rivers and lakes?
In South Dakota or just anywhere?
Just anywhere in general. Let's talk general.
Just anywhere? Okay. In October. Okay. In October up here, I don't know. Other fall, it's going to be a different time frame. But when the leaves start coming off the trees up here, we'll do it that way. I'll start going to the low-head dams on the smaller rivers and the rock shorelines on the lakes where the wind's coming in, and doing all jigs and minnows. That's from shore. If you're going from the boat, on the boat run, they will start going in the lakes. They'll start going into deeper water, just like the crappie are going to do. But at night, okay, here's an example. Lake Thompson, you may have heard that north of here. Good walleye lake, big lake, got some deep water in it. Well, deep for South Dakota, 30 foot, During the day, you're pulling plugs in 20 to 30 foot of water, and that's where you're going to catch them about now, maybe a couple weeks from now. But at night, you get down around 11, 12 o'clock at night, those fish are up in 2 foot of water. It's amazing. They just move, and it's a big deal. Like the Oldham Road up here, guys that are listening, if you're from this area, you know exactly where I'm talking about. It's 3 foot deep out in the ditch, and you go past that, it's knee deep, But by 11 o'clock at night, there's walleyes all over that place.
They're just in there feeding. They're moving in to feed in the cover of darkness, kind of easier on their eyes too, right? Is that a myth? Their eyes are real light sensitive, aren't they?
Oh, very, very, yeah. They'll if you hit them with a flashlight, they glow just like a tiger. Yep, yeah. They're very, very good with the night vision. That's where they make it,
I've heard rumors about a spot on the Madison chain, again, up here just north of me, where you can fish under a bridge in about 3 feet of water that's fully lit, and you can actually sight fish walleye in the middle of the night under there with plugs. That's another thing that I'd like to try one of these days.
Yep.
So I might have to hire Brian B up north and maybe hire him as a guide to have him show me the ropes on that. I'd look forward to that. But that's just me getting ready to fish for walleye this fall. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to some of that table fare and then chasing the crop on the ice.
Fall is a great time to chase walleyes, and there will be some big walleyes caught in the fall. Those big fish they put on the feed bag, big time. And the biggest fish in South Dakota get caught in the fall. I know everybody talks spring, and the spring bite's really good. It is, but the fall bite is going to be your biggest fish up here. Anyway.
Okay. Ryan Bortz from Brian Bortz Blue Collar Fishing, a good buddy of mine, says, do saugeye follow the same patterns as walleye?
Yes, except the depth difference on those two species. The sauger, walleye are going to, out of the three, you got sauger, walleye, saugeye. The walleye are going to be the shallowest fish. Saugeye will fall in the middle. Sauger are going to be the deepest. If you're in, let's say 25 feet of water and you're catching walleyes, or 20 foot of water you're catching walleyes, the sauger and saugeye are going to start at 10 foot deeper. Just period. Go to 30 foot if you want them. If you're catching walleyes in 20. Other than that, the presentation, the time of day, the migration patterns in the spring and fall, they're the same. They'll follow the same pattern. And that's why you do get some natural hybrids between the sauger and walleye too, just naturally, because they're spawning. But the water depth is a big deal on those different species. They prefer different channels, and blues are the same way. South Carolina, Santa Cooper, catch channels all day long. If you're catching them at 15 foot, you go to 25, 30 for blues, and there you go. Same place, but just take it 10 foot deeper. So, yeah.
Hopefully that answers your question, Ryan.
If anybody has any more questions for Ted while we have him on here, get them in here, because we're running on about an hour. We don't want to absorb his whole night, although I'm pretty sure we could. But, we want to get all the questions you have answered. So if you have any more of them, let's see them. Where would you look for them at a dam? What are you talking about, Kelly?
For walleye?
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully he'll post up. I imagine that's what he's asking about.
I would guess so, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Evan.
Pretty typical situations. You want to look for your current seams. In the cold water, when you get into October up here, later probably down south, you're going to want to fish the quiet water on the current break. In the cold water, okay, I'm not going to say they're sluggish, they're not, but they don't want to fight the current quite as bad, and the minnows don't want to fight the current quite as bad when it's cold, when the water is colder. Whereas, you get a warmer water, then you're right on the current seam, and sometimes the fast water is the place to be. On the Missouri River, the dams, at night with the lights on and the water is going, the more water they're pushing, the better the bite, and you're fishing right off the rocks. You know, you're casting 2 o'clock upstream, and by the time you get your Rapala back in, you're at 8 o'clock downstream.
Mhm.
But if you're going to be like jigging, you go for the current seams, just like pretty much any other fish.
And always keep a tight line, right? Whenever you're bouncing them off the bottom,
Oh yeah, you want to keep contact with the jig because you're going to feel a big fish will just thump it. You know, almost like when a flathead hits a live bait, the rod will just shudder, just kind of boom, and then it'll start taking your drag. Well, a big walleye will thump it like that too. It'll just literally shudder the rod, you know. And a little walleye though will just kind of come up. He'll tap it. You got to hit him right there, you know, or keep a tight line so he hooks himself. Obviously, you know? Yeah,
that's even better.
Yep, contact though. You got to have contact with your bait.
Awesome. Well, I don't see any other questions coming in tonight. Ted, thank you so much for joining us on our show. It's a pleasure to have you in here. And anytime you have any new content or anything that you'd like to share with people, whether it be for panfish or catfish, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me because we sure like to get input from you, and keep me posted on them regulations if they go through and when they go through, because I really think that will force these other states to have to do something, because that will give the people that's pushing to get them regulations in place ammunition to throw at their conservation departments or whoever's in control of making those regulations.
Yep. One way to push that real quick, you're right. If you got one state that has this regulation, it's a real nice tool to use with the other state.
That's right.
If the connecting states, the boundary waters, have the same regulation, it's a lot easier to enforce the regulation, and it doesn't mess with the fishermen. Everybody knows what they can do.
That's exactly right.
And, you know, Iowa likes that too. That's some of the reason why they're doing what they're doing.
Yep.
You know, the whole Missouri rivers will be the same way.
We've been pushing forward in Missouri for a long time, and we're getting some stuff done, but they're so slow that my patience runs very thin, and I have to leave them alone for a while just to keep from making myself do something I regret later.
I understand it. Lyle,
Ted,
Mark,
how can people find you on?
Thank you guys for having me tonight.
No
And anybody listening, thanks for joining us.
Ted, how can people find you online? Ted, how can people find you online, my friend? Where can people find you online, Ted?
Boy, Mark, you're cutting out. I'm sorry.
Where can people find you online, Ted?
Facebook, just type my name in. That's cool. The best place. Yep.
And
check them out. Well, thank you so much for being on. Questions.
Well, thank you again for being part of the show. I want to thank everybody that's been in chat tonight. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel if you have not. That helps us get our content in front of more people and allows us to have great guests like Ted Ellenbecker on our show. So please hit that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. We'll be back next week. And in the meantime, don't forget Monday night, Catfish Weekly and Mark's Catfish Crappie Podcast. So
don't forget Sunday morning, Lyle Stokes versus Creole Catfish on the Catfish and Crappie channel. Watch them fish head to head live.
We're going to have a good time. It'll be a blast, I promise.
There you go.
All right, folks. See you next week.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.